What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at 19 different cities that the NFL could have an expansion team in, because obviously the NFL is looking to expand. They haven't expanded in a very long time, over 25 years I think. So here we go. First up, this is an article by the Yard Barker, and I'm going to be giving my opinion on each of these cities. First up, we have San Antonio, which is the biggest city in the USA without a NFL team, and I think they definitely should put one here because there's already a major sports league team here with the San Antonio Spurs. So this is number one. I think this should be an obvious one if they do an expansion. Number two, London. I think this is a great one because they've played in London a couple of times in their international series. It would be a little bit more difficult with the travel for the teams, and I don't know completely if there's a big enough fan base in the UK, but this would be a decent option. Next up, we have number three, Toronto. I think this would be a perfect fit because the NBA, the NHL, the MLB all have teams in Canada, but the NFL is the only major sports league without one. So I think this would be a great spot for one. It's not that far from the US, it's right across the border. And I feel like they have a big enough football market with the Canadian Football League up there. So Toronto and number three. Next up, we have Mexico City, which I think would be a perfect spot for an NFL team because we've played many games, a couple of games every year in Mexico City. The stadiums are always sold out, and they have a couple of teams have really big fan bases down in Mexico. The Steelers, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, I think, are all very big down there. So I think this would be a great spot. Next, we have Oklahoma City. I wasn't completely sure about this one, but I do see how it could happen. The Oklahoma City Thunder is already down there for the NBA. I feel like this one is a lot less likely than the other couple ones above this one, but I do think this could be a possibility. Next up at number six, we have St. Louis, which would be a great spot. Obviously, the Rams used to play in St. Louis a long time ago. I forget how long ago it was, but it was a little while ago. They used to play there before they moved out to LA, and now St. Louis is empty with no NFL team in it. I think there's a big enough fan base in St. Louis because of past teams being there, so I think they should definitely put one here. Number seven, we have Sacramento. California already has a couple teams in it, but I feel like they could add another one. It is a huge state. It's the most populated state in the in the country is what I meant to say. So I think Sacramento would be a good spot. If not Sacramento, probably San Diego. Is there any other spot it could be? I guess, but not really off the top of my head. I think Sacramento would be the best spot in California to go. Next up, Salt Lake City, Utah. I really like this here. I think they've been saying for a while that there's a good possibility they could move to Salt Lake City. There's no teams. Well, obviously, there's a team in Las Vegas and there's a team in California. But besides that, there's not that many teams in the area. So I think this would be a good spot to draw in the middle of the country a little bit. And here it is what I was talking about earlier, San Diego, the ninth city here. The second high, oh my gosh, I can't talk. This is the second most highly populated city on this list with 1.2 million people in it approximately. So I think this would be a great spot. My only thing is it's really close to LA, which already has two teams in it, which I think already the Chargers should probably move out of LA and go somewhere else. And I think San Diego would be a good spot for them. But if they don't do that, then an expansion team should definitely go in San Diego. Next, another just crazy one here that probably won't happen. But if they do decide to go international, could they go to Australia? I guess it's a possibility. I don't genuinely think this is going to happen, but it is a possibility. Sydney, obviously a huge city, the biggest in Australia, and this would be a great spot if they do go international, but once again, I don't know if they're going to. Some of these are just wild guesses. These probably is not going to happen. Tokyo, could it happen? Maybe. We will have to see, but Tokyo's on this list just for fun. Now we have Oakland, another California city. Obviously, the Raiders were there a couple years ago before moving to Las Vegas and building a whole new billion-something-dollar stadium. Could they bring a team back to Oakland? They obviously have the fan base with all those Raiders fans that still live in Oakland, but will they be willing to leave the Raider fan base to support another team? I don't know. We'll have to see, but this is definitely a possibility. Next up, we have San Jose, another California city. I think maybe this could happen. Once again, these are just wild guesses. I'm not exactly sure how large of a city San Jose is. I think it's like 500,000 area, somewhere in that, which is not that small compared to some of the other cities on this list. But San Jose is going to be here. Obviously, the San Jose Sharks in the NHL are here, so there's already some sports teams there. But this is just another guess. This is number 13. Now we have Hartford, Connecticut. Could this happen? Maybe. They already have a New England. Yeah, what I was going to say, they already have a New England team up there, obviously, with the Patriots, who have a huge fan base up there. But that's in Massachusetts. This is Connecticut. I don't know if it's going to be a big enough city and a big enough fan base in that area. I think there are definitely a lot of NFL fans up there, but I think all of them are pretty much either Buffalo Bills fans or Patriots fans, so we'll have to see about this one. Now, another Canadian team here, Montreal. Could this be a possibility to expand to Montreal? I think Toronto would be the best bet in Canada, but maybe you could have two teams in Canada. I think that's a possibility. Cities are definitely big enough for two teams. But do we want a Montreal team? I think it should be an option at least. And here is another Canadian city, another very large city. There are a lot of large cities in Canada that the NFL could choose from. We have Vancouver next. It's definitely a big enough city. I just don't know how big football really is in Canada. Obviously, hockey's huge. But is football big enough? I think it is. I've been to Canada, and they definitely have some interest in American football. Now, the final Canadian team, they could make a whole Canadian division with 4 teams, which I think would be a cool idea. We have Ottawa, the capital of the whole country of Canada. And could this be possible? Once again, maybe. I think it would be a really cool idea to add a whole Canadian division. So if they do decide to go that route, I think Ottawa should be the 4th team. Frankfurt, Connecticut is number 18 out of 20. Frankfurt, let's think. There's already a Tennessee team, so that's pretty nearby. Besides the Titans, though, is there a team in that area? I don't believe so. So Frankfurt could be a possibility. I just don't know if it's a big enough city. I think maybe if you don't go Frankfurt in Kentucky, you could go Louisville. But we'll have to see if they go to Kentucky. I don't think they will, in my opinion. And now we are down to the final 2 teams. Portland. I think this would be a great spot. We already have Seattle Seahawks. Now, could we go down a state into Oregon? I think you definitely could. I don't hate this idea at all. There could definitely be another West Coast team over there that's not in California. And finally, possibly my favorite out of all of these, Honolulu. Can you imagine if we had a Hawaiian NFL team? That would be insane. I don't know what the name would be, but oh my goodness, the teams would love traveling down there. So Honolulu is our last team on here. Could this happen? It definitely could if they expand, but leave your thoughts on what cities you think the NFL is going to expand to next, and leave that in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe. We're getting close to 200 subscribers, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.